Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, the Honorable Chancellors of the Chancery Courts of Davidson County, 20th Judicial District, State of Tennessee, finding it fit and proper to do so, meet in special session outside the courthouse at the request of the President and the Board of Directors of the Nashville Bar Association to entertain resolutions in memory of former members of the Nashville Bar Association recently deceased. All persons present are asked to draw nigh and give attention so the memorial resolutions to be presented may be heard. God save the Honorable Chancery Courts of Davidson County, the State of Tennessee, and these United States. The Honorable Aisha L. Miles, Chancellor, Part 3, presiding. Please be seated.
Good morning, and welcome to the Nashville Bar Association's 2024 Fall Memorial Service. I am Chancellor Aisha Miles, and I am joined by my fellow chancellors, Chancellor Ann Martin, Pat Moskal, and Russell Perkins. Our clerk and master is Henry Salas, who is also present with us today. This memorial service holds a special place in the hearts of the Nashville legal community. It is one of the rare occasions where we, as a chancery court, sit and bunk, united in purpose. Today, we gather to honor the lives, stories, and contributions of our colleagues, mentors, friends, in this notable profession who have passed on. As we reflect, celebrate, and pay tribute to their remarkable legacies, let us hold their memories close and recognize the profound impact that they have left on our community. I am reminded of the words of King Solomon when he said, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every act under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down, a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance." What do we all gain from our work? I have seen the burden God has laid on the human race, and everything is made beautiful in its time. Today, as we honor the lives of the lawyers memorialized through these resolutions, let us hold fast and fond their memories. Let us reflect on joyful moments, recall acts of kindness, and cherish the good that they accomplished during their lives. May we pay tribute to the work they performed, be inspired by their legacies, and recognize the brief moments we shared with them on this earth as eternal gifts. The Chancery Court of Davidson County preserves the records of the judges and the lawyers remembered through the Nashville Bar Memorial Services. Each departed colleague will receive a written resolution which is entered into the official books and the records of this court. This morning, the court will hear motions and resolutions for each lawyer and judge listed in your program. The court will reserve ruling on these motions until all have been presented. The chancellors of the Davidson County Chancery Court extend their heartfelt gratitude to every attorney who prepared and presented their memorial resolutions. We also express our sincere thanks to the families and friends in attendance today. I will now introduce the NBA President, Bahar Adzari.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Nashville Bar Association and the Board of Directors, we welcome you to the Fall Memorial Service. Thank you to the Chancellors of the Davidson County Court for opening court today so we can all sit here and remember our colleagues and family members and friends. This is a special memorial service because it's the first one without our beloved Vicki Shoulders. For many of you who knew Vicki, she was a beloved member of the NBA. She passed away recently, but this service was one of the things that she put her heart and soul into. And so I know that we are all thinking of her today, as well as the individuals we will be remembering. Thank you so much to the NBA staff, to Keith Turner, our Memorial Services Committee Chair, the Historical Committee, and all of you for all of the work we put into putting this together. Thank you so much for your dedicated service, and thank you all for being here today.
Those who regularly attend the Nashville Bar Association Memorial Service notice that Vicki Shoulders did not greet you when you entered the church today. Our dear friend Vicki Shoulders died on October the 31st. For 24 years, Vicki was usually the first person who greeted you when you came to a memorial service or when you went to the Nashville Bar Association office. Vicki answered the phone when you called the Nashville Bar Association. She greeted you at the Nashville Bar annual meeting, and she greeted you at the Nashville Bar picnic. Vicki was not a lawyer, but she did so much for Nashville lawyers that it's difficult to fully express all she did for us. For the Memorial Service Committee, Vicki would read the obituaries in the paper each day and make copies for us. Vicki prepared spreadsheets and kept after us to follow up on the progress or lack of progress in the preparation of memorial resolutions. Vicki coordinated with the church. She ordered the flowers, she prepared the program, she sent invitations, she coordinated with the clerk and master and the chancellors, and she grieved with us when we lost a colleague. Today, as we honor and remember our friends and colleagues, we, the committee, ask that you also remember Vicki Shoulders. The memorial resolution for John Bruce Allen will be presented by Gary Kelly.
Good morning. It is my honor and my privilege to present this memorial resolution on behalf of my friend, John Bruce Allen. John Bruce Allen transitioned from this life on November 4th, 2023. John was originally from New York, but raised in Rochester, New York. John decided to venture south for college and came to Nashville to attend Vanderbilt University. Vanderbilt provided the opportunity for John to, quote, major in his hobby, end quote, which was history. John went on to attend Vanderbilt Law School and left Vanderbilt with 2 degrees. His work in the legal profession spanned 40 years, from trial attorney to general counsel work, all of which he loved. John served as Associate General Counsel for American General, Staff Counsel for Permanent General Insurance Company, and Staff Counsel for the Tennessee Department of Labor. John tried cases statewide in the state and federal courts across the state of Tennessee. It was at Permanent General Insurance Company where I met John when he hired me. At Vanderbilt, he was in the ROTC. After his required military service, he continued as an Army reservist and retired after 25 years as a lieutenant colonel. John deployed to Saudi Arabia in Desert Storm, where he supported the 332nd Medical Brigade as a nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare officer. John's knowledge of military history was exhaustive. His breadth of knowledge of military history spanned many years, but he was particularly interested in the American Civil War and World War II. John served on the boards of the Nashville City Cemetery, the Battle of Nashville Trust, and the Friends of Fort Negley. He frequently gave tours of the Nashville City Cemetery, sharing stories of those buried. John loved to discuss history with his friends and family, whether they wanted to or not. John and I would often ride around Nashville, and he would point out to me the different Civil War sites, the trenches that were dug, and shared many stories of African American valor during that moment in history. Many things were important to John, but those who knew him remember him first and foremost as a devoted husband and father, and his keen, dry, unending wit. John loved and cherished his family. His wife, Carrie, was the absolute love of his life. His sons, George and Jack, were truly the apples of his eye. His daughter-in-law, Alexandra Labor, was looked upon as a daughter. Therefore, be it resolved by the Nashville Bar Association that we honor the life, work, and legacy of our colleague, John Bruce Allen, and mourn his passing in the loss of a keen mind, a caring spirit, and a lifelong student of the law. Be it further resolved that this memorial resolution be placed in the permanent records of the association and entered in the in memoriam minute book of the Chancery Court of Davidson County, Tennessee, and that copies thereof be furnished to the members of his family, Carrie, DeWitt, Allen, George, Sidney Allen, and John Jack Allen. Thank you.
The memorial resolution for Chuck Cherry will be presented by the Honorable Jim Todd.
Thank you. Charles William Chuck Cherry left us April 7th, 2024, at the age of 82, having proudly served his country, as well as positively affecting the lives of countless juveniles in Davidson County. Chuck was born in Stewart County, Tennessee, a beautiful, rural part of Northwest Tennessee. Early in life, Chuck was an outstanding student and superior athlete, resulting in his attending Vanderbilt University, where he was an outfielder for the Vanderbilt baseball team for 3 years. Until his death, he was an avid Commodore supporter and arch enemy of the Tennessee Volunteers. In 1963, Chuck graduated from Vanderbilt and enrolled in Vanderbilt Law School, where he received his Juris Doctorate in 1966. In 1966, at a difficult time in this country's history, Chuck enlisted in the Marines, where he served with distinction in Vietnam in the Judge Advocate General's office. Chuck returned to Nashville in 1969 and joined the Tennessee Attorney General's office, working under Governor Buford Ellington and Attorney General David Mack. Chuck left the Attorney General's office and the practice of law in 1972. And between 1972 and 1993, Chuck worked in the Nashville business community, primarily for Thompson and Green Machinery. Like many of us, however, Chuck's life took a turn. In 1993, after divorce, Chuck decided to re-enter the practice of law. Having not practiced for nearly 20 years, the Tennessee Commission of Legal Education required Chuck to complete an extensive amount of CLE training before reinstating his license. During that period of training, Chuck joined the office of the District Attorney General here in Nashville and was assigned to juvenile court. Once reinstated, Chuck became an assistant district attorney. Early on, Chuck's stance on juvenile crime was tough. To lock him up. His arguments with senior public defender Joan Hamner in juvenile court were legendary. Chuck would be unrelenting, telling Joan Hamner with colorful language that her client should go to jail. Joan would become irate and call Chuck Chuckwheat, or Chucky, or Chuckles, which would infuriate Chuck. Chuck would then call Joan Hamner names that cannot be reproduced in this document or saved in this church. Eventually, cooler heads would prevail. After several years as a juvenile prosecutor, Chuck went into private practice. Ironically, the majority of Chuck's cases ended up being juveniles charged with criminal offenses. Chuck, not unlike other attorneys, learned a difficult and valuable lesson by representing litigants on the opposite side of his previous practice. Chuck learned that many of the juveniles that traveled through the Davidson County juvenile courts, like the ones he adamantly wanted to send to jail, were victims of socioeconomic injustice and neglect. Chuck spent the remainder of his law career helping young offenders, fighting to keep them out of jail, and providing them needed services in efforts to turn their lives around. Chuck retired in 2014 after changing the paths of many young lives. Chuck's law career was always secondary to his family. He spoke proudly and often of his 3 children, Diana, Bill, and Elizabeth, and his 8 grandchildren. Most importantly, Chuck spoke of his wife, Ruthie. I was fortunate enough to be friends with Chuck when he met and started dating Ruthie. To say that Ruthie helped turn Chuck's life around would be an understatement. She was a profound positive influence on Chuck. In their 23 years of marriage, Chuck enjoyed traveling with Ruthie to Mount Eagle, Ponte Beach, Florida, as well as helping the community through Meals on Wheels at St. Luke's Community House and ushering at Westminster Presbyterian Church. While Chuck left us in April of 2024, he will always be remembered for his service to his country, his state, and his community, as well as his love for his family and his use of colorful language. Therefore, be it resolved by the National Bar Association that we honor the life and work of Charles William Chuck Cherry and mourn in his passing the loss of his humor, his talent, his love, and his spirit. Be it further resolved that this memorial resolution be placed in the permanent records of association and entered into the in memorandum minute book of the Chancery Court of Davidson County, Tennessee, and that copies thereof be furnished to the members of his family, his children, Diana, Bill, Elizabeth, and his wonderful wife, Ruth. Thank you.
The memorial resolution for Richard Crane will be presented by Jay Hurst.
May it please the court, I rise to advise the court that Attorney Richard Crane died on April 7, 2024. He was 77 and is deeply missed. Richard was the son of George and Betty Hallett Crane, who returned to New Orleans after World War II. His mother prayed to St. Jude. Betty always said she prayed for the patron saint of impossible cases, then she got one. Starting at 13, Richard spent 2 years in a Benedictine cemetery studying for the priesthood. In law school, he became a devotee of the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who personally trained him to teach transcendental meditation. For the rest of his life, Richard remained a TM teacher and devoted follower. During law school, Richard was appointed LSU's first ombudsman. Instead of taking a big law firm job when he graduated in 1971, though, Richard joined VISTA, Volunteers in Service to America, the domestic version of our Peace Corps. In VISTA, he organized a food cooperative called the Food Conspiracy. In 1973, Elaine Hunt asked him to become counsel to the Louisiana Department of Corrections. 8 years later, Louisiana elected a new governor, and Richard was shown the door. Richard lived in Nashville then from 1985 until 2012, when he retired from law and returned to Louisiana. From then, Richard wrote what he liked to call pre-need obituaries. Richard also learned to play duplicate bridge in his retirement, becoming just good enough not to embarrass himself most of the time. Richard suffered his share of physical and mental pain, but he focused on his good fortune, especially the greatest gift of his lifetime, his wife Eileen. Richard is also survived by his son, Matthew, his biological daughter, Carmela Guillot, and his grandsons, Avery, Mistral, and Rita. Richard was a good attorney and a dear friend, and when he wanted his epitaph to read, you would never have guessed he was a lawyer. We'll miss you, Richard. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we honor the life, work, and legacy of our friend and colleague, Richard George Crane. Be it further resolved that we, the undersigned, respectfully move the court that this resolution be accepted and spread upon the pages of the in memoriam book in the Chancery Court for Davidson County, and a copy be furnished to his family. Thank you.
The memorial resolution for Judge Richard Dinkins will be presented by Tammy Kennedy.
May it please the court, I am Tammy Kennedy. I'm Richard's former law partner at the law firm of Williams and Dinkins. I am a member of the Federal Senior Executive Service and currently the VA Chief Counsel of the Southeast United States and the territories of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Richard Dinkins was not only my partner, but also my mentor. I'm just one of many influenced by Richard. Judge Richard Dinkins' resolution. Passionate, devoted, compassionate, patient, intelligent, and conscientious are some of the words used to describe Judge Richard H. Dinkins. Those personal characteristics set the foundation for why he was a cornerstone of the legal community in Nashville and the state of Tennessee. Judge Dinkins was born in Nashville when his father, the late Reverend Charles L. Dinkins Sr., led First Baptist Church in East Nashville and subsequently served as the president of Owens College, now Lemoyne Owen College. His interest for civil rights started at the age 10 when his family met Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. That opportunity motivated him to obtain his undergraduate degree from Denison University in Granville, Ohio, his law degree at Vanderbilt University, and to pursue a lifetime commitment to civil rights. He was mentored by and exposed to some of the best legal minds. Judge Dinkins worked with Senator Avon Williams Jr., a renowned civil rights figure who had a close relationship with Z. Alexander Luby, Nashville's then leading civil rights lawyer, and Thurgood Marshall, who founded the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Judge Dinkins and Senator Williams were cooperating attorneys with the fund. This experience not only gave him invaluable legal insights, but also deepened his passion for civil rights. Judge Dinkins' impact on Nashville's desegregation cases remains legendary. While working at Williams and Dinkins, he was lead counsel for the plaintiffs in Kelly versus Metropolitan County Board of Education of Nashville, found at 687 Fed 2nd, 814, 6th Circuit, 1982. After years of litigation, he achieved a historic settlement of Kelly involving Black students who were being forced to attend all Black schools. This victory not only ended decades of court supervision of the metropolitan Davidson County school system, but also symbolized a triumph for equal education. He did the same at the college level through his zealous advocacy in a series of cases arising from Geyer versus University of Tennessee that eventually resulted in the desegregation of higher education in Tennessee. This is just a couple of examples of Judge Dinkins' impact as a litigator. Thanks to his partnerships with organizations like the Legal Defense and Educational Fund, Minority Business Enterprise Legal Defense and Educational Fund, and American Civil Liberties Union Voting Rights Project, Judge Dinkins was counsel in many crucial civil rights cases. Judge Dinkins became the second African-American chancellor in Tennessee when he was appointed by the governor to the Chancery Court for Davidson County, Tennessee. He made history again in 2008 when he became the first African-American member of the Tennessee Court of Appeals Middle Section. His judicial contribution is etched in hundreds of appellate opinions. His legal contributions also included teaching dental jurisprudence at Meharry Medical College, guest lecturer at the Franklin D. Pierce Law School, and serving as an official observer of free elections in Namibia. Judge Dinkins received numerous awards and accolades throughout his career. These include the prestigious Nelson C. Andrews Distinguished Service Award from the Nashville Public Education Foundation in 2019 for his dedication to public education, the Liberty Bell Award given to the lawyer who promotes a better understanding of the rule of law and stimulates a sense of civic responsibility, the Francis S. Guest Bridge to Equality Award, which is awarded to individuals who advance equality, and the William M. Leach Jr. Public Service Award given by the Tennessee Bar Association. Other notable honors include the Civil Rights Leadership Award of the Nashville NAACP, the Dr. Charles E. Kimbrough Medal of Honor from the Nashville NAACP, and the Freedom Fighter Medal from the National Association for Equal Opportunity in Higher Education are just a few. Judge Dinkins' contributions were not limited to the legal community. Beyond the courtroom, Judge Dinkins served as a deacon at First Baptist Church, Capitol Hill, where he exemplified his commitment to faith, community, and service. His deep-rooted passion for uplifting and supporting those around him was best reflected when he administered the attorney oath to his former clerk as he bounced her one-year-old son on his hip. Judge Dinkins radiated a contagious spirit and left an indelible mark on everyone he encountered with his infectious smile that lit up rooms and uplifted spirits. This is why he will always be described with adjectives such as passionate, devoted, compassionate, kind, patient, intelligent, and conscientious. Therefore, be it resolved that the Nashville Bar Association honor the life and work of Judge Richard H. Dinkins. Be it further resolved that this memorial resolution be placed in the permanent records of the association and entered in the memorarium minute book of the Chancery Court of Davidson County, Rochelle, Zuri, and Amy.
The memorial resolution for Parker Duncan Jr. will be presented by Graham Mathern.
May it please the court, Graham Mathern of the Davidson County Bar, it is my honor today to present the memorial resolution for Parker Warren Duncan Jr., who at the age of 82 passed on June 6th of this year. Parker was born in Monticello, Kentucky, a place where people knew their neighbors, visited on the front porches, and rarely locked their doors at night. During the time that Parker's father served on the Kentucky Supreme Court, the family lived in Frankfort, Kentucky. Parker attended the Virginia Military Institute, VMI, and was valedictorian of the class of 1964. He was allowed to defer his military service so that he could attend Yale Law School, graduating in 1967. After that, he was stationed at Fort Irwin, California, where he rose to the rank of captain. After his Army discharge, Parker returned to Kentucky to join the firm, Louisville-based firm, now known as Wyatt Tarrant Combs, where he specialized in corporate financing, business, and acquisition law. In 1989, regarding what Parker professed would be a temporary matter, Parker moved to Nashville to be involved with Wyatt's merger with the Nashville law firm of Gilbert and Milan. A mutual friend, Ellen Pollock, introduced Parker to a local journalist, Sandra Roberts. And as Parker readily confessed, things that once thought to be temporary can quickly become lasting. Parker and Sandra married in 1990. Parker moved his practice to Nashville, and after a fulfilling and effective legal career, he retired in 2008. As a practicing attorney, Parker represented with skill, intelligence, and understanding many clients. One client expressing that Parker was a true gentleman, a great friend, and a wonderful business advisor who served as counsel zealously, but with measured judgment. Others similarly chimed in. And don't you know that Parker was a skilled lawyer who was also a trusted advisor to his clients, something to which we all should aspire. Memories are strong and lasting with Parker. As Sandra has told me, Parker was a serious person but never took himself too seriously. Such was his endearing nature. He was a person of keen wit and humor. He had an infectious, positive personality and was at ease with himself and made those around him at ease. A longtime friend and law partner, Larry Cashin, informs that Parker was an excellent attorney, but more important than that, he was a great friend who had his friends' interests at heart and had his friends' back to protect. Parker was an enthusiastic and active volunteer for CASA, the Court-Appointed Advocates for Children's program here. Parker loved meeting his buddies at the Green Hill YMCA, where the exercising of their bodies might well yield to the exercising of their mouths, to catch up and to share with one another. Parker looked forward to the annual fishing trips at Cumberland Lake in Kentucky with his friends, where white lies sometimes had to be told about the number and the size of the fish caught. Parker was always looking forward to and participated in the monthly meetings of his VMI alumni known as the Brother Rats. But with those matters and many others being important to Parker, they paled in comparison to Parker's love towards and love being with his family. Times with his siblings were special and sought for. The times with his daughter Kristen and her family, and his son Park and his family, and all the grandchildren, and I would say particularly the grandchildren, were times that Parker cherished. But it was with Sandra. Whether vacations abroad, hiking in the national parks, watching sunrises at Tybee Beach, Georgia, or watching the changing of the leaves from their cabin in Mount Eagle, it was with and being with Sandra that gave him the most joy. With those words spoken, let us remember and honor our colleague and friend who was an excellent attorney centered upon skilled representation and effective advice to his clients, who was committed to his community and friends, and whose balance of life gave rise to the love and attention he demonstrated towards his family. Therefore, be it resolved that today we honor the life, work, and legacy of Parker Warden Duncan Jr., whose name we speak, lest he live with us today, and who remains firm in the memory of those who knew and loved him. Be it further resolved that the memorial resolution be placed in the permanent records of the Nashville Bar Association and entered into the in memoriam minute book of the Chancery Court of Davidson County, and that copies thereof be furnished to his family. Be it so moved.
The memorial resolution for Bart Durham III will be presented by Blair Durham.
I am honored to present the memorial resolution for my dad, Bartlett Chesterfield Durham, who my brother and I on our birthdays celebrate every year that we didn't become the fourth with that name. Before I start, my dad would have been so happy about the people that are here. My brother Colin, my wife Kelly, his grandkids Ethan and Addie, my in-laws who he loved deeply, Gary and Donna, Pam, his friend and office manager for over 30 years, his wife, but most importantly Cindy, that changed his life, and her daughter Haley, and soon-to-be son-in-law, and Rich Cassidy, who was just a great buddy. So he would have been jealous that we were all here and he wasn't. My dad was the founder and face of the Nashville-based personal injury firm Bart Durham Injury Law, a champion of the underserved and the first lawyer in Tennessee to advertise his services in print, on radio, and on television. Born on March 5th, 1935 in Ripley, Tennessee, my dad was the son of B.C. and Nell Pearson Durham. As a small-town boy with humble beginnings, he credited his success to hard work, others' investments into him, and frankly, luck. Prior to embarking on his law career, my dad served in the U.S. Army for 2 years, mostly in Germany. He attended law school at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and finished his degree at Southern Law University in Memphis. His lifelong love of learning inspired him to financially support numerous individuals in their pursuit of higher education. After becoming a member of the Tennessee Bar in 1963, he began practicing law in his hometown alongside his dad before serving with the U.S. Department of Justice in Memphis, where he and his colleagues prosecuted and defended all cases in the 33 counties of West Tennessee. In 1969, my dad made his fortuitous move to Music City for a job as a prosecuting attorney in the state AG's office, where he oversaw civil rights cases throughout the state. He appeared regularly in every U.S. District Court from Memphis to East Tennessee, argued more than 100 cases before the U.S. Court of Appeals in Cincinnati, and argued 3 cases before the United States Supreme Court. In 1975, he went into private practice with his peer, Henry Hale. Before long, he was appearing regularly in print and radio and television, with thousands of Tennessees growing up seeing him on their television sets. Ever in pursuit of justice for victims of personal tragedies, my dad represented thousands of personal injury cases during his career and was named a senior counselor by the Tennessee Bar Association. He continued assisting with work at his firm until his passing. Such was his love for his profession and for many of the fine lawyers and team members, I'm not saying I'm a fine lawyer, but including me. His passion for various avocations also endured throughout his lifetime, including flying, entering the ring as a wrestling ringside manager, and attending Ferrari racing meets. He acquired a few Ferraris of his own and founded the Tennessee chapter of the Ferrari Club of America in 1997, serving terms as the Tennessee president and regional director. He was also a member of Woodmont Christian Church, where he attended with his wife and my wife and me. A down-to-earth, kind, and generous man, committed to his community and his clients, my dad was deeply devoted to his family and always endeavored to remain true to family values at the highest order. He was a small-town guy. Left to cherish his memory are his loving wife, my Oma, Cindy, his kids, me and Colin, and my brother's wife, Michelle Paletta, and me and my wife, Kelly, and my kids, Ethan and Addie. Bart leaves behind an indelible legacy of integrity and probity in public life, compassion and loyalty in private life, and diligence and dedication in all his chosen endeavors. Therefore, be it resolved by the Nashville Bar Association that we honor the life, work, and legacy of our colleague and my dad, Bart Derby. Be it further resolved that this memorial resolution be placed in the permanent records of the association and entered in the in memoriam minute book of the Chancery Court of Davidson County, Tennessee, and that copies be furnished to his family, his wife Cindy, my brother Colin, and myself and my wife Kelly.
The memorial resolution for Bill Lassiter will be presented by Elizabeth Sykes and John Belcher.
May it please the court, my name is Elizabeth Sykes, and I'm here with my law partner, John Belcher of the Davidson County Bar. And before I begin the memorial resolution for Bill, I just want to share that Bill was also my mentor. When I started practicing law, Bill offered me a job, and I at first turned it down because I was worried that I wouldn't have a place where I could raise a family and practice law at the same time. So Bill called me back and offered me the job again and said that he would take care of me. He was true to his word. And I was able to work with his longtime paralegal, Gail, who's here today. She was basically kept us in business for many years. And I'm grateful for her being here today. And his son and daughter-in-law are here as well today. Bill was a great person. So this is the memorial resolution for Bill. And Bill died on June 21, 2024 in Brentwood, Tennessee. To the very end, Bill was actively involved with his friends, family, clients, and the causes which he held dear. While his law partners anticipated Bill's full retirement from the practice of law at some point during his 70s, by the time he entered his 80s, they realized that he would never fully retire. In fact, he pretty much continued to that. He was born on September 5th, 1938 in Huntington, Tennessee, where he grew up right off the town square, learning about the law from his father, a prominent Huntington lawyer. After attending the Webb School in Bell Buckle, Tennessee, he graduated with a BA from Vanderbilt and went on to earn his law degree from Vanderbilt Law School. He started his legal career as a law clerk to Tennessee Supreme Court Justice Sam Phelps. After that, he accepted a position with the Attorney General's office. After leaving the Attorney General's office for the state of Tennessee, he entered private practice with the law firm of Taylor and Slaughter, the predecessor of his eventual firm, Lassiter, Tidwell, and Davis, where he devoted his long law career, expanding more than 50 years, to civil law with an emphasis in business, corporate law, and estate planning. In his later years, he continued his practice with various of his former colleagues at the law firm of Belcher, Sykes, and Harrington.
Elizabeth and I worked with Bill on a daily basis for the last 22 years, and Bill's approach to the practice of law was expansive and big-hearted. He always wanted to get litigants around the table and try to resolve disputes. He was always eager to tackle complicated issues, and he was never afraid to venture into a new area of practice. He established a reputation as a problem solver who wanted to help people and give back to his community. Bill poured countless hours into his church, the Otter Creek Church of Christ, and into the nonprofits which were dear to him. Not only did he serve on several charity boards, but he was instrumental in the success of the Wayne Reed Christian Child Care Center, a 3-star not-for-profit child care center providing support for preschool children from low-income families in Nashville. He poured his heart and soul into that on a weekly basis for its entire existence. Bill worked tirelessly for the Wayne Reed Center, raising money, providing leadership on the board, and helping the center to grow and expand its services for the community that it serves. Just as he loved representing the underdogs in a legal fight, so was he a diehard fan of the Vanderbilt Commodores, and he loved supporting all of Nashville's sports teams. In the rare instance when he took a vacation, it was typically to his cabin in Colorado, where he would go with his family and often take clients and friends with him. In his long legal practice, Bill worked with and mentored numerous Nashville lawyers. No matter how busy he was, he always welcomed his co-workers to sit down in his office and talk about their cases, their families, or whatever else was on their mind. He was patient, kind, and slow to anger, but he was also dogged in representing his clients and fearless in advocating for their interests. He was preceded in death by his wife, Susan Lassiter, and he's survived by 2 children, 6 grandchildren, and a great-granddaughter. Therefore, be it resolved by the Nashville Bar Association that we honor the life and work of William H. Lassiter, Jr. His passing is a loss not only to his family and friends, but to the Nashville Bar and to the citizens of Nashville. Be it further resolved that this memorial resolution be placed in the permanent records of the Nashville Bar Association and entered in the in memoriam minute book of the Chancery Court of Davidson County, and the copies be furnished to Bill's family members. Thank you.
The memorial resolution for Niles Nemo will be presented by the Honorable Dan Eisenstein.
May it please the court. Be it remembered that the Chancery Court, Davidson County, Tennessee, met in extraordinary session to honor among others his excellent attorney, Niles Stephen Nemo. Niles was born on September 24, 1943 in Springfield, Illinois, and passed away here in Nashville on May 28th of this year. He is survived by his wife of 54 years, Mary Jane Nemo, who is here today, his daughters Hillary, Louder, and Ashley Turner, who also are here today. Grandchildren, Emily Ballard, Sarah Evans, Ellie Turner, Knox Louder, and Niles Louder, along with 5 great-grandchildren. In addition, he's survived by brothers, attorney Price Nemo, Kevin Nemo, and sister Nikki Nemo. Niles was a graduate of Southern Illinois University with a BA in marketing. Prior to graduation from college, Niles served as an MP in the U.S. Army in France. Niles received his JD degree from the Nashville School of Law in 1974. Niles practiced law here in Nashville for over 40 years. Early in his legal career, Niles worked as a public defender along with attorney James Howard. That is how I first met Niles many, many years ago. In his position as public defender, Niles represented a defendant in a capital murder case. I was asked as a young attorney by public defender James Howard to represent a co-defendant in this death penalty case. Both defendants were upstanding members of the Nashville community and also members of the outlaw motorcycle gang. Niles represented a member known as Mad Mike. I had the honor of representing his fellow member known as Snivelhead. The case was held before the Honorable Judge John Draper in Division II Criminal Court. After several days of voir dire and trial, we were able to settle the case where our defendants were each sentenced to 10 years in the penitentiary, which under all the circumstances, Niles and I believe was an excellent outcome. After this trial, Niles and I continued to associate each other on serious criminal cases. We also worked together on a number of personal injury and wrongful death cases. Many of these cases happily ended with significant verdicts or settlements on behalf of our clients. It was a real pleasure working with Niles on so many cases through the years we were in private practice. He was a lawyer who had a real knack for developing a winning legal strategy and executing on that strategy. The successful outcome of the cases Niles and I worked on were mostly the result of Niles' skill as a trial lawyer. Because of the work we did together, I was lucky to know Niles not only as an excellent lawyer, but as a wonderful person and a real friend. Niles loved the courthouse. Through the years, Niles developed relationships and friendships with lawyers and everyone who worked for the courts. Niles was well respected and liked by his fellow lawyers, court clerks, court personnel, and judges. Niles' loving family remembers him as a lawyer who represented many colorful characters during his career. They enjoyed listening to his many stories about his cases. They learned and appreciated that Niles was invested in both his clients and their families. Niles gave his home telephone number to his clients and was available to them even after office hours. His children remember him saying that because of his interactions he had both with his clients and the families, that he was many times really a, quote, a well-paid social worker. Niles found relaxation and pleasure not only with his family, but with the many long-lasting friendships he developed through his love of boating. Niles was a lifelong avid boatsman. He was also a lifelong active member of the Cumberland Old Hickory Yacht Club. Niles loved his family and spending time with them. His family had wonderful memories of time spent with Niles. Niles' children remember he would advise, drive slowly and hit something cheap. They also remember, that's good advice. They also remember with fondness the motto Niles learned from his grandmother, have fun the right way. Niles will be remembered as an excellent lawyer, a great family man, and a truly good person. Therefore, be resolved by the Nashville Bar Association that we honor the life and work of Attorney Niles Stephen Nemo and mourn his passing. Be it further resolved that the memorial resolution be placed in the permanent records of the Nashville Bar Association, be entered on the memorial minute book of the Chancery Court, Davidson County, Tennessee, and that copies thereof be furnished to his family. Thank you.
The memorial resolution for Bob Parker will be presented by Tom Lawrence.
May it please the court, I hereby submit the following memorial resolution for Robert Edmund Parker. Upon his passing on April the 2nd of 2024 at the age of 80, Robert Edmund Bob Parker left behind a long and lasting legacy stemming from his 50 years of practicing law here in Nashville. Bob was born July 16, 1943 in Shelbyville, where he excelled in academics and team sports at Central High School. Following in the footsteps of his three older siblings, he attended Vanderbilt, earning his BA degree in 3 years. He then entered Vanderbilt Law School, where he served as presiding justice of the Moot Court Board and on the Board of Governors of the Vanderbilt Bar Association. On May 28, 1966, Bob married Vanderbilt graduate Adrian Morgan, resulting in a 57-year marriage and 2 children, Adrian Parker and Dr. Morgan Parker, wife Katie, and 2 grandsons, Elliot and Max, who were his special delights. Following law school, he joined the Marine Corps, serving 3 years in the Judge Advocate Corps, including a stint in Vietnam. After returning to Nashville, Bob began his legal career as law clerk to Judge Harry Phillips, Chief Judge of the U.S. Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, then began practicing as a litigator with the long-established Nashville firm of Goodpatrick, Carpenter, Woods, and Sassel. In 1982, he worked to establish his own firm, Spade & Parker, and then in 1988, the firm became Parker, Lawrence, Cantrell, and Dean, and then Parker, Lawrence, Cantrell, and Smith. The Parker firm specialized in numerous areas of civil practice, especially defense litigation. It was heavily influenced by Bob's exceptional set of personal values, and its lawyers and staff thrived in the positive environment he created, especially the many young lawyers he mentored. As a result of Bob's leadership, the firm's reputation was well known and respected in and out of the courtroom. Beyond the law firm, Bob's life revolved around his devotion to family, his love of and leadership in Westminster Presbyterian Church, his support of his alma mater, Vanderbilt, and his work in numerous important community services which improved the lives of so many Nashvillians. And outside of work, he loved tennis and fishing and playing with his grandsons, and he remained a lifelong devoted follower of Vanderbilt sports teams. Accordingly, it is my privilege today to submit this resolution to the court, honoring the life and professional career of Robert Edmund Parker for his exemplary devotion to the highest principles of the law, to his firm commitment to the best of human values, the highest standard he established for younger lawyers, the high regard in which he was held by his colleagues at the bar, and his devotion to family, church, and the Nashville community. I therefore move this resolution be placed in the permanent records of the National Bar Association and be entered into the minutes of the Chancery Court of Davidson County, submitted on behalf of Bob's family and the active and retired partners of the firm, Tom Lawrence, Rose Cantrell, George Dean, Richard K. Smith, Marshall Mulbritton, Brad Gilmore, and Frank DeLay.
The memorial resolution for Joe Peel will be presented by Larry Lewis.
May it please the court, it is my privilege to present a resolution on behalf of
in memory of Joe Peel on behalf of his friends Gareth Avon, Bill Young, and myself. Joe Curry Peel was born in Humboldt in West Tennessee on February 15, 1942, and died at home in Nashville on June 19th of this year, following a brief illness. Joe grew up in Gibson County in West Tennessee and was a distinguished football player at the local high school in Trenton, Tennessee, which is called Peabody High School. Joe graduated from Vanderbilt University with a BA in 1965 and a master's in 1969. He subsequently taught at Episcopal High School in Alexandria, Virginia, as well as an MBA here and at BGA. He worked for IBM before going to law school at UT Knoxville. He also did graduate theological study at St. Michael's College in Toronto, Canada. But after teaching and his work for IBM, Joe had a distinguished legal career. He was a young lawyer here in Nashville at King & Ballou. And then after that, he served for 39 years in the Tennessee Attorney General's office, and I was his supervising deputy for 31 of those years. Joe became a recognized expert in the fields of state and local taxation, interstate commerce, and constitutional law. He handled many of the most significant cases involving Tennessee's revenues, involving many millions of dollars in crucial principles of taxation. Over the decades, he often appeared in Chancery Court and in the appellate courts of Tennessee. The matters that Joe handled for the Attorney General's office set many important precedents in the areas of banking, insurance, and telecommunications for the state. Joe is predeceased by his parents, Japhet and Annie Laurie Peel. He is survived by his wife and soulmate of 46 years, Mary Margaret Alsabrook Peel, with whom he traveled numerous times to their beloved England and Europe. They enjoyed visiting art museums, stately homes, pubs, seeing concerts, plays, and listening to bluegrass music. He is also survived by their daughter, Margaret Elizabeth Peel Shakespeare, and her husband, Lyndon, now of Adelaide, South Australia. Joe served on the board of the Shakespeare Oxford Society. He was an accomplished handball player and served on the board of directors of the downtown Nashville YMCA from 1985 through 1991. Joe was a member of the Tennessee Bar Association and the Nashville Bar Association. Joe and Mary Margaret attended St. George's Episcopal Church in Nashville. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we honor the life, work, and legacy of our friend and colleague, Joe Curry Peel. Be it further resolved that we, the undersigned, respectfully move this honorable court that this resolution be accepted and spread upon the pages of the in memoriam book of the Chancery Court for Davidson County, and a copy be furnished to his family, especially his beloved wife, Mary Margaret, who is with us here today. Respectfully submitted by his friend Gareth Aden, his friend Bill Young, and myself. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for the memories that you have shared with all of the lawyers and judges memorialized today. The great poet Maya Angelou said, "I have learned that people will forget what you said. They will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel." Today, we have the opportunity to reflect and remember how these exceptional judges and lawyers made us feel. And those endeared feelings will remain. They are the gifts to those of us left behind. The Chancery Court is pleased to grant each of the motions and accepts the memorial resolutions presented here today. By order of this court, these resolutions shall be part of the court's permanent records. Copies of the resolutions will be presented to the families of each of the lawyers and judges by the Nashville Bar Association. It has been an honor to remember with you today. We hope you will join us downstairs at a reception in honor of those remembered today. Court is hereby adjourned.